Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you to this session on women and youth in aquaculture, gender issues, and the way forward. Redressing the gender imbalance and the way forward. I want to thank the organizers of this program for the opportunity to be the moderator for this session. And I thank all the co-speakers today and the sponsors of this program. Before we go on, I want to introduce the speakers of today, and I hope they are all online already. I'm going to start with Mrs. Jennifer Sojdi Tapo. Mrs. Jennifer Sojdi Tapo is the president, Ghana Aquaculture Industry. She has a master's in business administration and began aquaculture involvement and development since 2012. She has been on government boards in Ghana from 2017 to 2020 and has played major roles in the industry to increase food chain and to aid government in the supply of fingerlings to dams to enable the dams to increase their productivity and to help livelihood of the community in Ghana. She has been the president of the Ghana Aquaculture Industry since 2015 to date, and she has, with members of her team, been able to solve a number of major problems facing the industry by presenting the case to the government and the different ministers that come into office. I know that we are going to gain a lot from our wealth of experience today, and so I welcome you on board. The next speaker that I want to welcome, I can see her online, is Mrs. Shelika Fumilola. She's the president of the African Women Fish Processors and Traders Network Nigeria chapter. I'm also a member of that chapter, and so I welcome my president to this program. She's a seasoned and highly energetic entrepreneur of over 7 years. She ventured into entrepreneurship with fashion designing and trading in different African fabric back in the university days. So after then, she went into several industries from oil servicing, media, advertising, and banking. And she saw her first love, like she calls it, an opportunity to provide value in the aquaculture value chain. Today, she's the chief operating officer of Jeff Smoked Edibles, a fish processing and trading company, and also the current president of the African Women Fish Processor and Traders Network Nigeria chapter, where she's responsible for promoting fish policies on processing and trading of fish and fisheries products. Last but not the least, I have Mrs. Jerry Patricia Uwerika, who is an entrepreneur in fish and fisheries product development and trade. She started out as a fish producer before she decided to face the challenges in fish processing, which she has taken to international levels. And at one time, she supplied fish products to the United Nations, and was the only one that were registered at a particular time also in Nigeria that could export to the EU. And she has done a lot of trainings in packaging, fish processing, management, and she's still blazing the trail to make to ensuring that quality fish and fish products go out of Nigeria to other continents. She's a pioneer managing director of Free Enterprises and a farmer of over 25 years who has upgraded Free production line through value addition. Now, our topic is a very interesting one. I would like our presenters to come online and say hello to everyone before I go on with introducing the
we can just display after.
Before I go on in setting the pace for the discussion today, we are having a panel discussion, so we were not going to have presentations from them, because I'm going to ask questions after introducing the topic so that we can all contribute and gain from their wealth of experience as women in this in the aquaculture value chain. I hope the others are online, please. Can you confirm that to us?
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me, Madam Moderator?
Yes, I can hear you, but yes, I can hear you.
Good afternoon, Ma. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shelley Kaodoa Funilola, and it's a pleasure to be here this afternoon.
Thank you. Do we have the others? So that we can see your faces and know who we are relating with. Are the others online, please? No.
Yes, I think I saw Vijay online.
Yes, let me come online so that people will see how we can go on. What of the president of the aquaculture? Because I can't start without having all my presenters online. That wouldn't be nice.
Exactly.
Okay, can we go on with the people that we have online? Women and youth in aquaculture, redressing the gender imbalance and the way forward. Fisheries and aquaculture are vital tools for economic growth, job creation, food security, and nutrition. And the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development has defined aquaculture as the cultivated fish and crustacea taken from marine inland waters and sea
trying to
traps.
look for their presenters.
Aquaculture production is also defined of becoming important
So
to
I'm trying to
emerging
look for
economies by
to
bridging the
see
gap and by providing
from the list.
by providing the opportunity and potential for increased food production and for helping to reduce the pressure on
You
fish
see, once
resources.
before now,
The OECD
as
has
it was, they
established
were
that
all ready,
direct
they were all
links
spot on.
exist
They are used to
between
this.
economic growth, poverty alleviation, youth participation, and gender equality. Thus, if women and youth access the job market, they will not only have a direct
Yes,
impact on their community,
that's right.
but
That's
on their nation as a whole. So, according to the World Economic Forum, nearly half of the world's youth live in sub-Saharan Africa. So we have a large pool of energy to leverage on. The African Youth Charter recognizes youth as people between
Nigerians have a
15
talent for
and
going
35
overtime.
years. And the youth of any nation, of
So
any region,
really
are the
need
hope, the future, the strength, and the lasting bridges to generations yet unborn. And so I will like to call on Mrs. Fumilola, first of all, to tell us, what do you, who actually are women in aquaculture? Who actually are women and youth in aquaculture? What roles do they play? Are they important? Do they have clearly defined roles that they play? Can you elaborate on the roles of women? I know women have other roles aside aquaculture and fisheries, roles in the home, childbearing, caring for the home, making food, ensuring that everybody is comfortable. But let's talk about women in aquaculture. What are the roles of women in aquaculture?
Thank you so much, Madam Moderator. For me, women in aquaculture cannot be overly emphasized, and also the youth. It's a broad scope because we are not talking about women selling fish. Women in aquaculture cannot be put in a low scale or cannot be recognized because they're in all facets of aquaculture and fishery. We have them in the academics, we have them in the production, we have them in processing, we have them in trading. We also have women fisher folks that go on their canoes, even though they don't go deep fishing. But in every value chain of aquaculture, women are relevant, women are present in those value chain, in those activities. And their role cannot be put to the back because they're playing vital roles. According to the SDG Goal 5, saying empowerment of women and youth, and also reducing hunger and poverty by 2030. And really, for this, women in aquaculture cannot be overly emphasized and they cannot be saying they're not relevant because they're everywhere in every facet of aquaculture and fisheries. So they are present in the day-to-day activities. And just like you said, aside that they are women, they are mothers, they are wives, they're students, but their role is quite vital. They're doing a whole lot of work in that space in aquaculture and fisheries, and they cannot be reduced or not be taken cognizance of.
Thank you very much. And that takes us to the issue because you said something about not being taken cognizance of. What do you think is responsible for that? Is it because the women do not have a voice or because we have a system that does not have sex aggregated data? Or is it because the strength of the women limits them to particular nodes in the value chain?
Okay, I think on that, I would say, first of all,
Is she
being
logging in
African,
as with the
our culture
chamber's email
already has
address?
always put the women
Is she
like a
logging
second
in with the
fiddle,
chamber's email address?
whereby they're not allowed to speak up in public.
But is she
They're
logging
not
in
allowed to
as
be
her
to
personal
hold
email
leadership
or the
roles.
chamber's
They are
email?
not allowed to take particular positions because
Exactly.
they
If she's
feel
logging
it's
in,
not
she's
the
going
place
to
of the
cut us
woman.
off.
The woman has her own particular place. That is either
Her
to be the mother
personal,
at home,
yes,
either to
definitely.
be someone
If she
just
tries that,
someone not to be recognized, more like. So I think basically what had
exactly,
led to
then
that up till now
she should
is
log in
our
with her
culture
personal credentials,
and
not the chamber's credentials. Else,
doctrines that are being
maybe she's trying to
practiced.
use the chamber's
Those are the
credentials.
major
That's
things
why
that
it's
malign
conflicting with
women
what
not
I've
to be
logged in.
recognized. The strength of a woman cannot be overly emphasized, like I said. We wear so many hats. And at everything that we do, we are good at it because it's an endowment that God
Personal,
Himself has bestowed in the woman to be able to carry out all those, to be able to do all those things that are expected of her. And like I would always say, women are resilient. They don't stop. They keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. I'm happy because even my
you
moderator
should
here
no,
was the first
no.
woman as
Yeah,
the
because when you
acting
register, the link is given to
director
you.
of
So
Federal
that
Department
link
of
you already
Fisheries,
registered,
which
so
is
you
a
don't
very
need
big
this thing.
shoe to fill. Because at that time, before her tenure, so many it's always been the men that have been taking that position, which is what has been the norm. So majorly, like I've just said, that women, it's because of our doctrine, it's because of our culture that women should always be put at the second side. There was a video I saw. The woman wakes up early, takes care of the family, takes care of the house, does everything. And the man works. He comes back, he gives her money and all. And then a friend asked him, "What does your wife do?" And he said, "She doesn't do anything. She just sits at home." Because that is the mentality that women don't do anything. If they're talking about women in the aquaculture sector, they'll say, "Oh, they just process the fish, they just sell it. It's the men that are doing most of the work because they are the ones going on the water." But we also have women going on the sea. But even though they are not going deep fishing, but they have their own roles that they are playing in the aquaculture space.
Thank you very much. You mentioned something about the strength of a woman. An investigation has shown that the emotions and feelings are different in risk taking for men and women. And so, how do women handle their roles where the deployment of strength, power is required to achieve their objectives?
Come again, Ma.
You did say something about the strength of a woman. And I'm
Yes.
saying that investigation has shown that women and men have different reactions to risk taking and to deployment of strength, power. You know, there's some aquaculture activities that require strength. We know some require physical strength. We know some require emotional strength. Let me go forward. When we talk about risk, for instance, if you go to your farm on an early morning and you notice that most of your fish are gasping for breath, and you have, let's say, some not massive but some fish kills, how do you handle that as a woman? Do women have that emotional strength? I'm still going to go further on that when it comes to having funding, but let's look at it from there. I just said that investigations have shown that we react differently. Men react differently. Does it have anything to do with gender inequality or what? Can you speak about that?
Yes, I think just like I said initially,
some people were watching on Facebook.
That the physical
but I
strength
had
of a
to
woman,
cut and
she would
start
not
the
be
second
able to
session.
do this. Now I see women in the
And now
aquaculture space
we've
enter
lost
their
the
ponds
views.
themselves.
So I don't
when
know
you want to
whether
buy fish from them, they enter
for
their ponds
Facebook too, I
themselves
should
to
keep it
evacuate
running
what they have in there,
like
without waiting for a man, unlike before that they have to
around
go
that
and
time,
look
it
for a
was
man
like 3
around
or
the
4.
area to come and help them evacuate. But they're getting the exhibition of strength shouldn't have to be physical. Yes, like you said, the example you gave now about a woman coming into her pond and she saw her fishes gasping for breath, she'll be able to. Obviously, her emotions at that point in time cannot be stable. She is going to go berserk because she think about the funds that she has put into it, the hard work, the physical energy, and everything at that point in time. But one thing I'm sure of, that at that point in time, the woman would think of a way out almost immediately. Even as much as she's
I
bitter
want to
and
tell
all of that,
her one
she would
person
think
is
of
on.
how to salvage what is left of it. And why? Because it's an endowment. That is why she's a mother.
Has she
She
been able to
carries
log
a
in?
womb. So that's
Is
the
it
very prompting thing that
Uwerika?
comes to her mind immediately. Like, okay, this is what is left now.
Uwerika.
How do I salvage it? Emotionally, at that time, she might have broken down, maybe crying or something. But that doesn't stop her from
Yeah, she's
thinking
on.
of a way out from what she has found herself in, what
Okay,
she has
Jennifer.
gotten her,
Let
that
me
she has
see
found on her
if.
farm at that point in time. And for a man, I think it's more of an ego thing because the man would believe because of the muscles,
Okay.
yes, I can do the physical thing. I have the physical energy, but it doesn't just end there. It doesn't end at just the physical energy. Strength is not just about the physical. It's not about what you can do, what you can lift, but how you can manage your risk, how you can take risk. That's what it is for me, ma'am.
Thank you so much for that contribution. I'm still going to go forward on that, but I want to welcome Madam Frije Werika. I saw her a few seconds online now, and I'm going to send the next question to her because she's into processing, and I know she has taken a lot of risk. Now, the question to you, Madam Iserike, is how do you women handle their roles where you need their strength, their emotional strength, not just their physical strength? And I will go forward to explain this to you. You have sent in products and they called you and said, oh, something is wrong with this product. What will be your first? How do you handle this as a woman?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, all. It's quite interesting when you send a product somewhere. Can you hear me?
Yes.
When you send a product somewhere and you are later called to say something is wrong with the product, the first thing that answers your question is, how did it happen? What went wrong? So you now ask whoever is the driver, whoever has received it, whoever is sending you that information, you ask the question, where is this thing taking place? Is it at the point of entry, or it has been received, or what? So the things that come into your mind is, first of all, tracing where the product is and what is the problem at that point. Once you are able to trace it, then you can now give a defense. What is the defense you will give? Can you send me a photograph of what you got that you say is below standard or is above standard or whatever it is? Once that information is given to you, then you now ask, what is the quantity of product there now as I'm talking? The person gives you information. Then you now think and say, okay, if that is the case, you are sure this thing is not there, but check another carton or another set of and check. Once you are able to check those ones and you are able to come back to a conclusion, you now said, all right, what do you do from there? Do you recall the product? Then you tell them, okay, you would like to recall the product because the product went for lab analysis. You send their analysis, you have already gotten, because all those documents went with the product. You send it to them again in case they didn't give them the analysis of the product. Then you come back to check on what you have as a retained sample, because anything you are sending out, you must have a retained sample in your office to be able to vet what they said they saw with what you have with you in that same batch. Once you are able to get that, then you can now say, recall the product and bring it in for further verification. It's heartbreaking because your head has to be thinking left, right, center anytime for it until you get that product and get it, come to call your inspectors in Federal Department of Fisheries that this product you have sent, they say it has a problem. This and this is what they said. This is the photograph they sent. So that the inspectors will now prepare themselves to come and check the products once they arrive. So those are the key things that you must do.
Thank you very much, Madam Vijay. What I have been able to get from the two of you is that women have this resilience to face whatever challenge comes their way, number one. Women follow protocol and processes. They want to do things right when they're in any business or any economic enterprise, and they work with the authority. They follow the governance structure in whatever what they're doing in the aquaculture sector. And I'm going to take you further from there, because it has been said that women are restricted. They face gender bias in socio-economic environments in which they operate. They encounter different social, cultural, educational, and technological challenges than men when it comes to establishing their own enterprises and accessing resources. So let's go back. We already discussed the different value chains, the roles of women in production, processing, marketing, hatchery production, input supply, and the role of youth. We are not leaving the youth out, but I don't have the youth on this panel, but I know that World Aquaculture Society has featured youth a number of times. So I have their story, and I'm going to tell their story after we are done with the women. Now, those things are said to be there. Is it a perceived bias or a bias that is real? Do women actually face gender inequality in the aquaculture value chain? Can you say that? And in what area? Is it in area of accessing infrastructure, land for production? Is it when it comes to credit? Don't let me pull too many things together. Let's start first with the question that women face more bias than men. Is it real or is it a perceived bias?
It is real. It is real because anything you want to do, you need finance. No matter how small it is, you need finance.
Sure.
And if you don't have this finance, you have to rely on your husband or your family members to finance you. So the finance is the key. Somebody will tell you, what do you need money for? How many fish are you buying? But they forget that without you having that money, you cannot even think of what you want to buy.
So
because that money is like, and it also gives us a kind of bias when you go to banks to try to apply for money or anything. They'll ask you, who is the owner of the property that you want to use as collateral? Because your name is not there, it becomes a problem. because the husband has to be there to give that support, that I have given authority that she can use that property. So these are the areas where the buyers come in, and they give us a lot of pressure, because even if you register a company and a woman, as a woman, you are the owner of the company, the man feels so uncomfortable. Why? I don't know. The money will be spent by the family, but he just feels uncomfortable because of his ego, to say he's working, his name is under his wife's authority. All these things add to the problems of the women. Then to talk about the youths. The youths themselves, are they interested in working? They always want to have an easy way out, and nothing is easy,
Okay,
nothing is free.
we will get to that. Let's first of all finish what the issue of women. The first questions I raised has to do with the women themselves in the aquaculture space. Do they see themselves as competitors, or do they see themselves as collaborators? Do they see themselves as cooperators? Because they are different things. If you went into a business and the first thing in your head is that you are competing, that in any business there's a level of competition, but when the competition is negative and all you want to see is you want to be this, you want to be that, there's a problem with that. What I'm saying is, women, the biases that are said to be there, cultural biases, you've mentioned some about the men, what of a woman in her own right? How does she raise money and capital? Let's forget about the husband, let's forget about the family. A woman going out to say, okay, I want to take money from a bank or from a financial institution. Are there things that limit us from getting those things? You've mentioned the issue of title, and there are other things which I want us to delve with. Mrs. Elita, can you say some things on this? When you go on your own to the bank, what limits you as a woman?
Okay.
Because we must establish things that we have said are biases against women.
Okay, like the first one, there is a bias against women in the banking sector, is account keeping. You know, as a woman, as a woman, when you're thinking, half of the time you think about others come first. So you might not be able to keep your books to the extent that when you want to approach a bank for money, they'll be willing to give you. Majorly, documentation is the issue that women have in trying to collect money from the banks or any other lending house or anything. Collateral is another one. Because of the culture whereby, but I think now it's getting better, a woman can own a property, because when they ask for a collateral, if you don't have the property to stand it, you don't have a land to use as a collateral, you don't have equipment that you bought with your money to use as collateral, definitely the lending house cannot give you what you have required. And just like my colleague, Madam Fiji had mentioned, because we don't have those things, it's going to be difficult for a woman to go into a bank. For example, when I was in the industry, it was like a norm when a woman comes in and you give her the checklist. Once she looks at it, at the back of her mind, where does she get all those things from? Where will she get all those documents from? When they ask her, okay, we need your account statement for 3 months, and she wonder on a daily basis that she's making the money from her proceeds, she's already spending. She will spend the capital and the profits and all of that. And that is actually something that keeps that would limit the woman from being able to access those fundings from the lending houses and the banks. So I think those are the major things that can limit a woman on her own by herself. But I know recently there's been a lot of campaigns going on educating women about how to really run a business so that they can have all the necessary documents needed when they want to approach a finance house, approach a bank for them to get a loan so that they can expand their business and move their business forward. I wouldn't say unfortunately.
I'm going to stop you there because I want us to take this thing 3 segments to our topic, women and youth in aquaculture. We have established your roles that you cross across the value chain now we're talking about gender imbalance. How do we redress it? Now, before we now go to way forward, you are already going to way forward. Now, let me take you up where you said checklist, the financial banking institutions checklist. Are those checklists, in forming them, have there been gender considerations, or is the men who just sat down and thought of the things that they have, of the things that they can provide, and they made checklists? You know, there's a difference between when a woman is involved in policy formulation or in any economic space, getting things together. You will think of yourself and the things you need to do. I'm glad that you have mentioned that nowadays there's a shift from having checklists that only address the comfort of men and leaves out women, because before, traditionally, most women don't have title deeds. I'm still going to come to the issue of, if you have an aquaculture set up on a land with your husband and the man passes away, how do you handle that? But let's jump things together. Now, the checklist for banking institutions has been identified as one of the key things that cause problems for women when they go to the bank. What other things? Are you treated the same way like a man will be treated when you go to the bank or to any financial institution? Do they look at you that is a woman, can she pay us back? Do you experience any sort of discrimination when you go to ask for loans? I want practical issues. I don't want us to just talk about things we have read. As an African woman, you know, we want to stand in the shoe of the majority of the women which are not represented today. How do they get the you've tried to do that in your responses. How do they get finances to support their businesses in aquaculture?
Okay, a very quick one about the checklist. Yes. I think when the checklist was being made, there was no consideration as regards the woman or her needs. But just like I said, with the paradigm shift going on now, they've had to, most banks now have products for women
she's back again.
That
she
can
went
help
off.
Them to that they can access.
And you see,
that can
I
help
don't know
them
if I can interrupt the woman and tell her that Jennifer is also
I had approached a bank
online now
initially for a loan, but I realized in that bank,
for a long
they
time
don't have any products for women, and they gave me the regular checklist. And then I said to them, but this other bank already has a product for women.
Now I asked whether the moderator is reading her chat.
Even to the interest rates that is being fixed. There's a bank in Nigeria that gives women loans to the tune of 5 million naira at 0 interest rate. But what can make me access that money is what I've been able to turn over, what I've been able to do in my account. Not what I have in the account.
Is it Anya's legendary?
But what I've been able to do, my accountability, which was what they tended to do. And there was a justification that, okay, I couldn't meet up what they were asking me for. That was why I couldn't get that particular loan. But they didn't send me away. They gave me another product that my own finances could accommodate. And that was how I was able to access the loan. Another major thing for women,
somebody turned on their microphone, so I thought it was
because
you see some people, the name they have here and the name they have on this is different.
Scenario. Most of the time,
this woman like this, Mrs.
You have not gone
Patricia.
There. Somebody just came out and told you, "Oh, this is what I experienced when I went there," without you laying your own claim, laying out your own card. You just assume
I can't see
going there. So I think that's one of the major issues that we have to. As your assumption, even before getting in there, that's another thing.
At least you have
from accessing the spot. And I realized lately too, there are a lot of grants for women. It's just for us to take the time to sit down, understand the needs, and then put in our own effort. Like I would say, women are blessed. We can do these things, but we limit ourselves half of the time as entrepreneurs.
Thank you very much for that. I'm going to go back to the issue of direct operation. I did ask a question: do women see themselves?
Sorry, Madam Moderator.
Yes.
One of your presenters is online, has been online for a while, Madam Jennifer Soji.
Okay, I've been asking if she was there. I sent private messages. She was
Okay,
there.
she has
Oh, I
very
didn't
to
see that.
join.
Okay, I didn't see that.
Okay.
Okay, you are the one. I saw your face. Actually, that's
Yes.
why I didn't expand my screen so that I can have my speakers on there.
Okay. All
Oh, I
right.
didn't know. I saw you. Sorry for that.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, we have Mrs. Jennifer Sojdi Tabo. I hope I've pronounced
Yes.
the name well. I've introduced you when you were not here, but I will just let people know that you are the president of the Ghana aquaculture industry.
Yeah.
Now, madam, my next question is going to be to you. As the president of the Ghana aquaculture industry, how have you been able to manage members of your society to increase fish production in the country, to leverage on the opportunities that are there for Ghana, for instance, which will escalate to the rest of the region, for Ghana to improve the contribution of aquaculture to fish production, for Ghana to be able to bridge the gap between supply and demand, and as an emerging economy to reduce the effort, the fishing effort on our fishing resources. What are the things that you have been able to do since 2015?
We have been we've undertaken various programs in the past, and the major issue I realize with most of our women, which is not something that can be solved.
Oh, we've lost you again. Hello. Can you help reconnect to her, please? Hello.
She has the link, so usually her connection is smooth. Okay, someone.
Okay,
Yes, sorry for that. The line went off. The major issue I have realized is we are struggling with two main things. Women are their own competition, number one. And number two, the confidence level of women is one big issue. And this is something that cannot be solved as an association. I think this is something that needs to be solved in our various homes, the national level, even at government level, because mostly when women give birth, they lose confidence for some time before they start getting it back, just like a child that starts walking. And at that stage, most of them start businesses to be able to take care of their family because they are not able to go to work immediately, and some end up starting their own businesses. And that is where we need to put a lot of work, because their confidence level is also creating issues in the industry. People go to the farms, and one major issue is they are all men, and then you are the woman. That's the owner of the industry. And if you are a woman and you own an industry, and then some men don't want to work under you, they don't want to collaborate with you. So what happens is you need to prove to them that you can do what you have said you do. You can work in the industry. So that is one major issue. Trying to prove yourself is not easy, because whatever you do, whether good or bad, is misinterpreted. Meanwhile, you are trying hard to make up for being a woman, which is not an easy thing to do. Some men are very supportive. They look past gender. But most of the places where we find ourselves doing farming are rural areas where there's so much issue on female bias is there. So you always have to find a way to be able to penetrate the market and then handle the people. And I realized that it also boils down to communication. When the man is having a 1 hour communication, you have to do the 2 hours. You have to do more work to be able to prove yourself. And with the sad thing about some of our women, I've realized is when they start on a good note, and at a point they just give up. And some of them, it's not just the industry. Sometimes they have issues at home that affect them. Like one of our colleagues said, that when they start work, based on the fact that she's using that same money to support the house, and the husband feels threatened. So when she's succeeding at a point, she has to leave the job and then just go and stay at home. And you can't convince her to come back to the field.
So are you saying that the other roles that women carry, the burden of family, domestic responsibilities, have detrimental and limiting impact upon their abilities to work outside of the house? I want us to be categorical in what we're saying.
All right. So what you just said, it has the limitation affects some people. Some people are able to do very well, but not most people are not able to do well, because one thing comes to play. Education makes a woman who's educated has a limitless boundary in a way. And the one who's not educated already is struggling with basic ideologies, which we are trying to break. So that when it comes to the limitation, normally our folks in the rural areas, we are having these problems with them. Those that are a bit educated and are not in the rural areas are able to break some of these boundaries much more easily than those in the rural areas.
Thank you very much for that. We go back to Madam Frije, who has been in the who has been an entrepreneur over the years, and who went through stages to get to where she is now. I want her to tell me that, to let me know about the other issues that women have when they are in charge of their own businesses. How do you manage your employers, your employees? How do you have authority? How do you establish authority, the line of authority? Do you have issues with them looking at you that you're a woman and on your farm, they can just, I want practical examples if you have. Getting to the farm, they have said, well, this madam today, we all just say we are not working. Has any of you had that experience of the men playing on you because you are a woman?
Thank you very much. Like I said, I deal practically on processing. If you go to the farm to buy fish and you are not carrying your own money, nobody will answer you. But when you own, as a woman, you own a fish pond and you want to crop fish, and you know that the power of the worker is key, it's the man that will do that for you. You can just go to the farm and discover that they just came with different excuses. But you see, what I do is when I go to my farm, that time I used to have a farm, I used to employ women.
3 is all sponsored.
I tell women that in my village, women use canoe to go and catch fish. So therefore, if you have to use net to catch fish, you must learn it. If you learn it, then you are able to stand on your own, and we are able to get that done. So the women, they wear boots and they go into the water to harvest the fish. So those men who think that because they are not going to work today, there's no work being done, now feel that, this woman already has the chick, so that one goes for that. But even in working with the women, you have to first of all talk to them when you employ them. There are rules in this company. The rule says you come to work at 8:30 and 8:30 to 8:30. Sometimes you leave them till 9. You just pretend as if you don't know. But once you know that they are keeping late, you now put your foot down. If you are not here by 8:30, you go back home. So they take it serious. Then 2, you give them the rules of the job. You know, when women are too many, they will be talking. So you divide the work. You measure the work they will do in a day. You measure it for them and tell them, if you don't finish it, you don't go home. So therefore, you have less time. So they now concentrate on the timing. They have to go home because they have other things to do. So that one makes them sit up, so they are able to do their jobs. In the industry, it's a woman's world. You just have a few men because of carrying heavy things in terms of carrying the fish from the pond to the house or wherever you want to do your work. So you need those men. So those men too are made to understand that rules are being kept. The job here is muscular job. Carry fish, do this. But I also tell the woman, you carry the fish. 2 people, instead of you carrying it yourself, 2 of you should carry it. Make work easier. So that's how we've been able to manage the women, and after some time they get used to it and they are interested in doing the work. You know, everything you learn the skill, and you always tell them, if you know it well, you can be on your own and be my supplier. You process and bring it to me, as long as you have followed the standard. So everybody tries to learn to have equal rights and everything. Thank you.
So thank you for that contribution, because it has answered some of the things I asked earlier on, that the women themselves see themselves in the aquaculture space as competitors, cooperators, and collaborators. Because we are running out of time and we still have so many things to do. I want us to go quickly. We have spoken about women, and we need to talk about way forward. But before we do that, I will want to ask a question, and I want to any of you who wants to answer to do that, and that is, there are issues of inheritance of women in many African countries. How do women handle this in case of a family-owned land used for aquaculture, and unfortunately the man dies and the family stays? The woman cannot inherit the land. Or a case of, in some places in Nigeria, for instance, I know that girls are not the first to inherit, it's the man in the family. So how do you handle that, where you have a girl child who have been involved in aquaculture practice as a part of their hands, and then suddenly something happens and they say, no, because you are a girl, you cannot go forward? Can you give me your views on this? How do you expect women, because many women who are at the grassroots level are facing this, even in the aquaculture space? When something happens, can they continue with the business? Are they allowed to continue with the business, or what happens to the business? Who wants to take
culture?
Not even Nigerians.
Yes.
Okay.
US special.
Some cultures are not very comfortable with women leading the forefront. But one thing I personally have noticed is we need to build the confidence of our women. As when we go to our areas of farming, when we are dealing with women on every level, we need to build their confidence in talking with them. Because if the person doesn't have confidence, number one, when the opportunity comes for them to lead in such a situation, they will not be able to do it. A gentleman comes on board who has no idea about this job, now starts it, within a few months, everything goes pear-shaped. And this woman has to look for another job, creating stress. Meanwhile, she could have managed the business. So when we are working with each other, we should be able to teach each other management and be able to teach each other the practical aspect of the job.
Try to make.
Not just in our various urban cities. I'm talking about the rural areas, because that's where we find these problems the most. Even though we have the same things, some in the urban areas, when we're able to push the agenda in the rural areas, it will help for the women to also go to the oftentimes lost a man in the family.
Mrs. Elika?
Okay. I wouldn't agree less with Jennifer. Really, the confidence is the first step. Once a woman is confident enough and she knows, oh, this is my business and it has to continue, there are ways around it at that point in time.
So I don't know.
And if, just like we said about educating women about the business and how it should run and all of that, that's the only way that they can be able to fight for what is theirs. That's the only way they will not lose out completely on it. Because just like she said, the stress of starting all over again is a whole lot more. I give an example. Where my factory is at the moment, it's on my husband's landed property. And from the inception of the business, I already had the mindset of paying rent because I know if I have to move out of the place, I would have to rent the place and I will be paying the rent of
Evidence.
that place.
This one, it's
So
like
that helps
a
me
new check.
to know that if in future, if there's anything and I have to get somewhere else outside, rent has already been factored into my business and it will be an easy transition for me. And so basically the education and empowering women, helping them to be confident in knowing that whenever something stops, that's not the end of it. You can still push on and keep
Sets
at
of
it and keep
agencies
working
are
at it
there,
and working at it.
and
That
you
is
need to provide
educating them
whatever.
and building their confidence on helping them to understand the nitty-gritty, everything that has to do with the business, no matter how small the business is. No matter how you think, oh no, this is just something I'm just doing. No, 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 no. Understanding every single aspect of it and helping you build your confidence and knowing the right things to do, knowing what it really entails to run a business. I think that would really help the women not to just be thrown out of their space when there's an incident in their home.
Thank you. Thank you very much. When we get to way forward, we're still going to talk about capacity building. We are still going to talk about training and so on. I've heard from the speakers, all of you have been saying, training women. We have to train them. We have to help them to have confidence. Who is going to do that? What are we as women doing for other women? Are we helping other women, younger women? Do we have mentoring activities as women amongst ourselves? Do we leverage on our positions as president of Ghana Chamber Aquaculture, as president of African Fish Traders Network, as a pioneer in processing of fish and export of fish in Nigeria? Are we doing anything in our positions to help the younger women in the aquaculture space? Are we mentoring them, or we see them as competitors? Or how do we see other women? I want us to respond. How are we contributing in our own little way to raising other people? Do we see them as competitors that we must pull down and we must not allow to come up? Just before we
Thank you
go
very much.
forward, yes.
The first and foremost thing is every woman is envious of the other woman for what you don't know. If you want to encourage, train a woman, you say, okay, come, let me train you. If the woman is very low, she is able to oblige you. She comes, she wants to learn. But a woman that is a little bit enlightened will feel, what does she feel she knows? She feels she's too much for you. The important thing is that you have to stoop low to learn. If you learn, then you can now express yourself properly. Most of these women, when you tell them about, look, in Nigeria, a lot of women are smoking fish. Yes. But we want to smoke fish with a different, they'll tell you, let me just sell it and make money. But you don't get maximum of what you want to do. So the attitude of the women themselves to learning is a problem. Although now there's a little bit of change because the economy is hard, COVID has come to open their eyes that anything you want to do, you must learn. If you don't learn, you fall into the drainage and you'll be flushed out. So that art of wanting to teach them creates an opportunity for them. And then you now give them terms of coming to learn. They must be able to listen to you because the terms of going to school was given to them. That's why they went to school. So you must put that terms there for them to know that they are learning for a better tomorrow and for a better product to come out. That learning is a very, very strong key that must be synced into their brains, that they must learn to do everything and learn it right, not the other way around. And these are what is affecting the women from growing to that extent. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. I wanted to say something in that line. Jennifer said something initially. She said every woman is their own competition. Everybody wants to compete with each other. But I have a mantra, more like what I try to do. I try to go for the youth because a mentor once told me something. If you're going in the same direction as that person, so you're on their shoulder, learning and understanding the potholes, and you don't make the same pothole. And personally, because I have benefited from mentorship, I try to do that as much as I can. When I see youth starting in any line of business, the first thing I try to do for them is ask them questions to really make them understand what they're trying to do, what business really entails. Business is not just about buying and selling, and that is it. It's not just about making the money. I don't make them feel like, oh, yeah, what you're doing is wrong or you're not doing it the right way. But I correct them and I allow them express themselves and then just put in their, help them to arrange their pain points and have a strategy on how to really move on and be the best at what they're doing. So that's how I approach it in my own way.
Okay, thank you very much.
There's one thing I have read about the 21st century woman is that because there's so much information on the internet, they think they know everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I talked about having a mentor. I just even realized one of my mentors is even online now and listening to me. So when we are done, I'm sure she's going to tell me what I did right and wrong, which makes me happy all the time. We all have mentors in every aspect of our life. It makes us move in leaps and bounds. If it's not for that, I'll not be sitting here today. I'm grateful for such people. And I think we should let our fellow women also know that everything is not about the internet, because there's a lot of false information out there as well. And we need to learn from each other. Practical experiences help. But sometimes they see pictures like on all these Hollywood stars, and then they assume they can be like Hollywood stars the next day. And when it is not happening, then they start doing other things. I have people calling me and telling me that, so you went to school and you decided to be a fish farmer. And I say, yes. So I intentionally tell people, my name is Jennifer Fish Farmer. Don't add any other name. And I'm very proud about it. But another person will feel shy saying that. So our mentality in this 21st century is a little bit different, and we need to draw it home to our fellow younger sisters coming up that it is not easy making money, and then fish farming is a good business. Any form of farming is good, and we need to talk to each other more, discuss more. Every Friday to Sunday, I make sure I talk to a fellow woman on an issue, and I always learn something from them. It's never gone wrong. It's never gone wrong. So I think we should encourage each other to have mentors, just like Mrs. Shalika said.
Thank you very much. Even as I'm seated here, I've sent the link to people who are younger than me. I always want to be corrected. I always want to be told what I've done wrong or what I've not done right. And that is why even when I write anything in my former place of work, people are always running away, because I will keep people for them to see what is wrong, what is right. Even if it's a dot, it improves the quality of what you are doing. So I want to thank you all for bringing that out, that we women must get to a point where we believe in ourselves and we know that there's nobody who is perfect, and when we are corrected, is to make us better human beings. And in speaking, I've been able to come out with the way forward from all your contribution, that women need resilience, we need education, our attitude needs to change. Now let's go to the way forward. I got that from you, but there are other things that I want us to discuss. Because when we talk about capacity building, what comes to our head? How do we think women could be helped when it comes to capacity building? It could be in form of training and education, in skills of what to do, how to propagate fish. And I've even learned something that I want to share. I understand that women are better in hatchery management and in propagation. Can you confirm that we bring to aquaculture that nature of childbearing that is in us? And so when we handle fish, the survival rates are higher than men.
Yes.
I hope men are going to speak when we have about 10 minutes at the end of it, because we still have many to say, and our time is running out. I hope I would have wanted us to have the whole day, because there are many things we still need to talk about that we have not touched, and we are sort of rushing through this program because the time is so short. Now, let's go to going back to the very first part of our session, which is women in aquaculture. Is it true that women are better hatchery operators than men? And then
Yes, it's very true.
when we handle any enterprise that is more successful, because we are more we keep our accounts. Well, when Mrs. Fulola was speaking about women not keeping documents, probably. But what I can tell you, that the woman who is not educated will tell you whether a business is profitable or not. She knows how much she's putting in. She knows how much she's taking out. Even if she's taking some of the money to feed her family along the way, she ensures that that business continues. So can anybody tell me more about, because we've spoken about production, is it true? What do you think helps women to be better hatchery producers, to be better farm managers in terms of accountability?
Women are actually very careful when it comes in the fish and the aquaculture something. When you are hatching fish, women are very, very careful. They take to every little step they need to take and take caution of it. And they always like to stay around it so that they will make success from it. So women know how to nurture business from the scratch to this ultimate goal, wherever her capacity takes her to. Women take time to also air people's opinion about that business, about the hatchery. I hatched fish yesterday. I saw this, I saw this. So they are able to learn and able to check if they are doing the right thing. So women take a lot of time because that is what we are endowed with by God. And that is why when a woman who cannot even write anything knows the accountability of her products that she's selling. If she sells this, she ties the money separate. She sells this, ties the money separate. Anytime she wants to use money, she knows the way she's taking the money from. So that is why her business doesn't go down completely. It must remain something that she will struggle on to bring back to life. So women are very, very careful. Thank you.
Now, going to way forward, can you tell me, we've spoken about so many things today, can you tell me how we can improve women participation in aquaculture, how we can redress the gender imbalances that we have spoken about? How can we redress it? What do you think can be done on the national level, on the regional level, and so on?
We have
For
to
me,
work through the assemblies. In Ghana, I'm saying we have to work through the assemblies because in every district there's an assembly. So when we have the assemblies inviting women over for programs constantly, discussions, where we have other women in the industry talking to them, it's going to help them to understand what to do next, how to go about it. If we're able to get our rural women to a certain level, those at that level will be able to impact even some of their children that are moving into the urban areas. And also at the national level, we have to ensure that when government says there are going to be 30% women in power, we have to ensure that those 30% women are in power. There's one thing we do as people, especially we Africans, we belong to a particular political party. So when a woman is going for election, we don't want to support her. And then we say, oh no, I belong to the other party, so I must vote for PDP. I'm Nigerian now, I must vote for PDP. If another party has brought a woman representative and you think she can do the job, let's vote for her. Let's bring her into power. Let's make her bring the change we want. Because she's definitely not going to employ all men. She's going to call her fellow women to come on board to help to make whatever it is sustainable. So let's always try to make sure that wherever we are, we also bringing on board some women. One of our seniors over here just said that she employs only women, which is a good thing. I think we should try and encourage some of these things more so that they can come on board, bring their knowledge, and also they can also learn from, we can learn from each other to enable us move forward.
Now,
I think that the most important thing is, hold on. The most important thing is, if every woman encourages her child, her female child, to take over her business, to learn her business, to do this her business, the multiplying effect will be there. Because when you encourage a child and he sees that all this is what mommy does and she's making money, then the child gets interested and keen on it. Then another woman will copy it, another woman will copy it, and at the end of the day, empowering the youths to come into the business and doing it. You only tell mommy, I've learned a new way of doing it, or which is better. Okay, you say, okay, teach me, let me see so that I can correct the mistakes in it. And at the end of the day, the women and the youth are moving. And that is the main thing we need to do. Thank you.
For me, I think majorly starting from the rural, nobody likes to be looked down at or be rubbished. Pardon my French. Because half of the time, it's not about you pointing out the wrong someone is doing. It's just like nurturing a child. You need to let the child, the way at which you correct the child goes a long way. It would let you know if the child is ready to take in your correction or is ready to throw it in your face. When we are communicating with these women on every level, even from the rural level, we don't make them feel they are a bunch of nitwits, there's nothing coming out of them. But you encourage them from where they are and let them know how they can do better. Women supporting women. That's it sounds very hard to do, but I see recently that networking has been helping women to support each other. It's been birthing collaborations and the likes of that. So I think it's the same thing that is doable even in the aquaculture scenario, whereby you start from the rural women and not shoving it in their faces what they're not doing right, but encouraging them on how to do it better, how they can be a better version of what they're doing, how they can learn from others, not being arrogant or making them feel, oh, with the way you're doing it, because that's the way, that's what I believe cause most of the time makes other women to look down or to make the other one feels like, oh, who exactly do you think you are? So the manner of approach also go a long way. So the more we try to communicate with them, doing it in love and helping and encouraging them to do better what they are doing already on every facet. From the rural, we get to the state level, to the local government level, to the state level, to the national level. I think that will go a long way because the multiplier effect starts from there. If you move from this community today to another community, before long, you just have them doing that.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the time, and I know we still have many things to talk about. I am aware that the 2006 summit of the African Union in Banjul adopted their African Youth chapter, and that the themes for the AU in 2015 and 2016 summit they were focused on empowerment and rights of women. Are you aware of this, and how have you benefited, even at your levels? Because she spoke about the 30% women in any government organization.
Industry, yeah.
Has it become a policy in Ghana? Is it a policy statement or a policy? In Ghana, it is a policy statement. In Nigeria,
it's a policy. We are getting this small
statement. Because a policy must be gazetted, a policy must be, when it's gazetted, it is enforced. But can you say that every government organization today has 30% women? And why 30%? Why not 50%?
It's I know it's a gradual thing. You are right. It should be 50, but it's a gradual thing. And for now, for the past few years, we've realized that our electoral commission has had 2 women currently Our chief of staff is a woman. There are certain positions that have always been for men, and it's now changing. So based on that, we are happy about it. I mean, it's great news for us. If we had a vice president, a running mate that was a female, so we are hoping that in the near future, we are hoping to see a female president. And that, I think, will bring a lot of changes to the country, and it will affect Africa.
Do we have policies that are in place to help women, to help empower women, even though at the regional level, it has been said that the summit focused on empowerment and rights of women? And in cascading this down, do we see it? I know that the AU-IBA formed the African Women Traders and Processors. What has happened after the formation of that group? Have they been empowered? Have they been helped further? Or they've been left to just go on their own? Are they recognized at the national level? Those are issues I want us to take from, which are way forward. And I was talking about other things. I said, what are the other capacity building? What ways? Infrastructural, educational, training? Can you talk to me about way forward? What are things that you think need to be done to move women and youth forward?
There are a lot of policies.
Thank you very
Please
much.
go ahead.
I'm listening.
Thank you very much. You say in making women in the policy level don't even talk for themselves, because they know what is going on. To say a woman must be there, a woman must be there, a woman must be there. The time and hours, it's all times and hours you treat the politician. If you go out at that time, I would educate saying that we must do this thing in the afternoon. No more 3 o'clock at midnight. No more going out and not coming in. Little by little, we will get there. We have created an impact, we have created an impression, and the children are now seeing it. The youth are now seeing it, that there is space there. There's things for them to do there. So they are working towards it. It might be very slow, but at the end, the awareness is there. And the women too, who have gone into position and have misused that position, is a big problem for us. Because if the example has been given that the woman was there and she misused her position, how can you struggle for another woman to be there? But if we put our integrity in the right place, then you can also say this woman did it well. The German president is a woman. So why can't we work hard to get that and to remain on our integrity to get things done right? Thank you.
Okay, we now want to itemize the way forward so that we have something to take away. We have spoken about capacity building, infrastructural development. How can women be helped with infrastructure in aquaculture? What sort of infrastructure do you think, if there is the means to empower a woman, you would want to have? Can we quickly list them?
We need offices, and as women, we also need washrooms. The infrastructure should include offices, washrooms. It should include houses. It should include places where we can store rooms. We can keep facilities for our.
Madam, you have not even spoken about direct infrastructure for production, for processing, for marketing.
Oh, for that one is important, but this is the first one. For even an investor to come to your place, they need to see some basic things that would enable them get you all those things. And we have those in the processing industry will need all the items for processing, and those who are into the aquaculture will need more of storerooms to put in their feed, which is the most important thing. And some people use grinders, so they need a shed where they can keep their grinding machines, the nets, and materials like that.
Tanks, growing tanks, and so on. Can you suggest a way? Because I knew that there was a bank one time that had a training for women under the Fishing Society of Nigeria. And under that training, the bank told the women who were there that if they did not have land as collateral, they could come with their jewelry, that was acceptable. And that was a way forward that helped many women at that time, about 20 years ago, to access loan. As somebody has asked a question, what would you suggest on financing women who in most cases have little or no assets to act as collateral in banks without negatively affecting the family structure? Can somebody quickly take that before we go to other more things that I have written down here?
I think for that, that's why they're working on cooperatives now, working with women, being in clusters, because nobody wants to attend to one individual. They want, when you are coming with a set of women, that means those people know you. If you default, they can easily locate you. And if you go as a group, it's easier for them to give you something every one of you can part with. That means the burden is not just on one person having to bring a very big collateral, but it could be something you can all share if you're in a cluster. Maybe as a cluster, you all own a canoe, or as a cluster, you own a fishing shed or something, but something they can see physically that, okay, they have this thing, this is where they always meet. It's not one person that can run away and we cannot trace.
Thank you very much.
I think that could help.
I know of clusters of women who have growing facilities together. So they get financing together because they're in a cooperative, they have the tanks together, they produce together, they process together, and they share profit. And that way they've been able to pay their loans back. And I know that banks have recorded greater recovery rates from women than men. There was a time First Bank in Nigeria said that the recovery rate from women was over 90-something%, as against that for men, and that should be encouraging to financial institutions. What other things do we want to take home as way forward? About our youth, and we want to stand for them. They're our strength. We have that large strength to leverage on in the sub-Saharan Africa. We have the largest population of youth. And in this age of ICT and so on, they can come up with several innovations for production, for marketing, even processing. And so we need to encourage our youth. And under the AFTA agreement, there's a division that has been left for women and youth. I hope that we will all, using our positions as women, make sure that we follow through with that under the trade agreement and ensure that we get something for our youth and our women. Can you suggest more ways by which we can help women? And I'm going to throw open the discussion the next
I would really want to say,
so that other people can contribute.
Okay, I'd like to say that it's just like Jennifer said, that in Ghana, it's been made a policy that 30% of women are to be involved in politics. I would want that to be incorporated in more African countries, African states. That is, incorporation of gender issues into international and regional instruments, not just in saying in fishes and aquaculture in particular, that it is written somewhere, that it is put in mind as a policy, starting from now, rather than just once we have more states taking it on, every other state would know that, okay, this is something they have to also take on board, and let it be written out. The organizations could actually help on that. The FAO and the likes of them could help in making that happen. The incorporation of gender issues into international and regional instruments, especially in the aquaculture and fishery space.
Yes. You mentioned FAO. I know so many international organizations are doing things here and there. We need to put all these things together so that we can have appreciable results. Not one
get the impact
individually, and then the impact cannot be concretized. we need to concretize the impact of different support to women and youth in Africa. I'm being told that I have 10 minutes. I would like from the audience, if you have any questions or contributions to this discussion before we round up for today's session, we have 10 more minutes.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, the important thing there is information is key.
She's now seeing
when we hear about all these stories of one country, one support from here, one support from there, you don't get the information. The informations are hidden in Nigeria. In Nigeria in particular, when an information comes out, they will hide it as if it's a drug. Then when it's almost time for it to expire, they now put it out and say, there's this thing for women, there's this thing for women, there's this thing for women. This thing should come out at the right time so that the women will prepare themselves for it. If they don't prepare themselves, they will not get it because they will say whatever they have written is a failure because the results are not well managed. The positions, the publication of it itself alone makes a lot of difference. They should publicize it so that people can hear, people can apply, and then you tell others. Then from there, improvement comes to everybody. Thank you.
Do we have any questions from the audience? Thank you very much. And so we have a number of issues that have come up for the World Aquaculture Society West African region to take up. There has been issues of gender inequality, issues of resilience, women not having a voice, the need to educate them. And as a regional body, you are in a position to speak to your colleagues and AUI Bar, African Union, take up this case and be our voice, because women need to have a voice. There are so many things that have been said, under AU, the women is important, all the sustainable development goals. We don't want to hear these things alone. We want to see them being actualized. And there's nothing wrong with the World Aquaculture Society beginning to have a database for women in aquaculture in West Africa, in Africa as a whole. That is one of the things that can be achieved, so that you can bring out our the strength of women. And also data on women is important now, that there should be sex aggregated data so that the strength of women can be better appreciated in the aquaculture space. Education of women, training, skill acquisition, they are all important things that must be designed specifically for women. And we are talking of women in the rural areas, women involved in mud bottom aquaculture, women who are still struggling to see how they can cope with family issues and also contribute their quota to aquaculture development in the region. Also is the need to help build women's attitude, and this can be done on the national level. I hope the woman in charge of Ghana will help in reaching out to other nations and help us to use other aquaculture societies in other nations to help in improving the attitude of women. And so before I say the final note, I want each speaker to round up, tell us the way forward, tell us your views about women in aquaculture, about gender inequality in 1 minute, so that we have 3 minutes before the end of the session. Who do we start with? Mrs. Selika, 1 minute statement.
Hello,
1 minute rounding up statement.
Okay. For me, I think what I would really like to see is how women would help each other with their already existing resources more effectively, whether through our own experiences, how to teach others about what we know, how to help them improve on what they are doing already, without making them feel less human or making them feel less important, but how we can help each other with what is already existing at the moment without having to look for what is already outside our reach at the moment. And I hope in the nearest future, all that we have highlighted will get results and accountable results that are visible improvements all around Africa. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you very much. Madam President of Ghana Aquaculture Society.
Okay, the youth, women, girls start and they end up being women. So, like you always say about the youth, I think we should start empowering them from that point as well and letting them know the problems women face. This will help them to know how to handle their issues as they grow. And then at the same time, to like I said, we need to do more work in the rural areas. Just like we're having these Zoom meetings, we need to do some outreaches in the rural areas in our various countries. Thank you.
Madam Vijay?
Yes, for me, we need to encourage the youths to learn to do vocational training. You don't work and get money for everything you do. You learn a trade. The youth should learn a trade plus the education, and it will give us a better result and make us want and do well. Thank you. Hello,
I would like to thank everyone. Yes, I did. Yes, I heard you. There's something. Sorry. Okay, I want to thank all of you for attending the session on women and youth in aquaculture, redressing the gender imbalance and the way forward. We have had a very interesting and involving discussion on women and youth in aquaculture and the way forward, which we are asking the World Aquaculture Society to please take up for us, is to give us a voice as women, to itemize our roles in aquaculture from the production. We are all in every node of the value chain. You will find women playing active roles: production, processing, marketing, hatchery production, and there are little gender imbalances that we have discussed about accessing loan, about being free to be ourselves, especially in the rural areas. And these are things that, though they appear little, they limit the potential of women to their contribution, their economic contribution through aquaculture. And so these imbalances need to be redressed. And the way forward is that there must be dedicated funds for women. We're asking that World Aquaculture Society will take it up, that there will be dedicated programs to empower women, infrastructural empowerment, training, education. And we want to thank you because we know you will take this up to AU, to African Union, so that when they have programs for women, that program will women come up and say, yes, we have benefited with this, not that we have formed society and there's nothing coming to help us move forward. So we are calling on World Aquaculture Society to become the voice that women may not have now. Thank you very much all for being here, and we appreciate your presence and participation. Thank you.
Yeah.
The world is changing rapidly. The challenges we are facing have become more diverse. But it is clear that we are reaching the limits of our current structures and models of action. So we are readjusting our telescope and focusing on the needs of the future. This is where our new strategy comes into play. It was produced by a company-wide development team. GIZ's workforce has pooled its knowledge and experience to find responses to internal and external developments. The new strategy outlines how we will be setting our priorities from 2020 to 2022. Our vision is what drives us. As such, we will continue to focus on the 4 tried and tested areas of action in which we